Hi there. Good evening. How is everybody? Good to see everybody on.
We just wanted to say hi. We love coming together in community on Tuesday nights, so we're so glad that you're here with us. Um, Tonight's topic is going to be all about gut health. But before we start, we wanted to have a couple people speak. And our first speaker is Beth Gilden. She came to program with some gut issues, actually, and the program has significantly helped her. And I'd love for her to share her story. So, Beth, let's take you off mute. Are you there?
Okay, you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hi, everybody. So I started my journey back in November. I had reached a very high number on the scale and nothing was fitting anymore. Even my largest clothes were too tight. And I had decided it's time to do something. But a little bit about what was going on besides the clothes being too tight. I was tired all the time. I was unhappy with myself. I had frequent migraines, body aches, you name it. And I actually have Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune GI disease, and it was out of control. And stomach issues to the extreme. And my gastroenterologist kept adding meds and meds and meds, and I was kind of getting tired of the meds, and I said, I gotta do something about what I'm taking in my body besides the meds. So I decided I needed to make a change, and change is hard, change is scary, but I know I needed to do it. So Optavia came in my life, and I figured I got to give this a try. I've done a lot of things in the past. I've probably been on every program out there in my life. Things not only didn't work for me, but I didn't stick with them. And I didn't follow them. That's the honest truth. I just didn't follow. I gave up. I made a bad choice and I said, okay, I'm done. I'm not successful at this. And then I was done. So with Optavia, it has changed my world, is the best way to describe it. I truly enjoy, I just went bigger. I truly enjoy the fuelings, the simplicity of it, and of course, the results. I mean, a brownie every day, like I've never been on a program where I can have a brownie every single day. So I'm a different person than who I was 8 months ago. Definitely on the outside. My face shows it, but the inside is what really made the difference for me. I have more energy than I have had since I was back in my 20s. Nothing else has changed except what's going in my body. My life is still crazy. I still have a lot going on, but I'm a different person. My stomach, my Crohn's is in full remission right now. I just went to see my gastroenterologist, and I am off all of the 6 meds that she had me on. And she said, I don't know about this program, but keep it going. And she plans on telling other patients. She said, this is just almost unheard of where I was to where I am now. So I also want to say that after 6 weeks of starting, I became a coach, and I would have never thought that that would happen. Thank you, Sherry. I'm new at this, so I'm seeing these pop-ups, and I'm going to respond. So thank you. There's so many things that are great about coaching. I love paying it forward. I love helping people. People reach out to me, and it's a really good feeling to know that I'm being honest with them, because I know what it feels like to be at my heaviest. And I know, IBS, it's all about the poop. I feel it really helps me with accountability. I also can't leave out that the extra money from coaching is a definite plus. And although that's not the reason why I did it, it is a definite reason to continue doing it. So I have to say also, I was very embarrassed to tell people at first that I was starting this program. I kept it very quiet. I didn't want to talk about it. And now I am loud and proud, and I am glad to talk about the program. When someone comes up to me and says to me, I got to ask you how you did it. I am like, when do you have time to talk? Because I can talk to you right now, or I can call you. So I really embrace all of you to talk about it. It really makes a difference. I never thought I would say that. If you told me you're going to say that, I would have told you, yeah, I'm never going to be that person. And here I am. People ask me all the time. This is my new life now, and I really don't want to go back to where I was on the outside or the inside. And there's a lot of things that people say to me. One of the most common things I get in the last 8 months is, don't you miss the food you couldn't eat? Don't you miss drinking this? Don't you have cravings? And my answer back to them is very simple. It's not what I can't eat. It's what I can eat. And that has opened up a whole new world to me. And I wish all of you much health, much happiness. And I hope that you too will have a story like mine of feeling like a new person at some point in time in the future. And I thank you for having me present.
Beth, thank you so much. You definitely are a different person on the inside and on the outside. And I so thank you for sharing, because you're quite an inspiration.
Thank you.
The next person that we are going to have speak tonight is.
Okay, that's nice.
1 second. Is Randy. Randy embraced program right from the beginning. She has totally taken on the Optavia way, and I'm thrilled to have her come on and give you all some inspiration. Randy, can you come off mute?
Yep, I'm off mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. So first, I want to thank you, Terry, for asking me to speak tonight. I'm very excited to share my story. I also want to thank you for your constant support. I also want to thank my cousin Nancy, who hopefully is on this call, who introduced me to the amazing plan and the community. She gives me on a daily basis unwavering support, joy, and motivation. And lastly, Michelle and Brad for welcoming me into their home 1 week into my coaching career. I called up complete strangers and said, I'm coming to Florida. Can I please come to your house? And it's just been amazing since then. So a little bit about my story. It's really not much different than anybody else's. I struggled with my weight my whole adult life. I've been on every program that there is. And because of my type A personality, I always had success with the programs, but I never kept the weight off. So something had to change, and I didn't really know what it was. I felt that I was not comfortable in my own skin, and I was really limited by my constant exhaustion and my lack of energy. And I really felt much, much older than my years. So my daughter got married this past Thanksgiving, and my goal was to fit into the dress of my dreams. And I did it. I somehow managed to get into that dress and really loved the way I looked in all the pictures. But right after the wedding was over, true story, I went into the ladies' room, pulled off the Spanx, threw up, and literally put on 12 pounds, I would say, within the next 3 weeks, because it just was not realistic. I could not keep the weight. I just couldn't get it under control, and I knew I had to do something different. The other thing was I was very uncomfortable in my skin. I would come home from work, and my husband would notice that the minute that I would walk in the door, I put my pajamas on. I just had to get my clothes off. I just was not comfortable, and that had to change too. And the last thing that I knew that had to change for me was that I wanted to be able to wear shorts and a bathing suit in the summer and not constantly be hiding in 3/4 sleeve clothes and pants. So luckily for me, my brave cousin Nancy was living out loud on Facebook, and I questioned her. I asked what she was doing. I will admit to you all that I got the very sketchy response of, I will PM you. And I really was like, okay, just tell me what you're doing. I really need to understand what this program is. And she told me all about it. And I listened, and something that she said and something that she just looked like, it just inspired me, and I knew that this was going to be different. Can you guys hear me? Oh, okay. You were shaking your head. I wasn't sure for a second. Okay. So luckily, again, she was living out loud, and I was brave enough to just ask her to help me. I was concerned about what the food was going to be like. I work in New York City. I go to 5-star restaurants very, very often, and I didn't know how I was going to be able to do that and still be on program and get the same results. But I jumped in, and I've never looked back since. My husband bought me my first month's fuelings for my birthday. It was my 57th birthday present. Yay me. And again, my box arrived. I dug right in. I'm an extremely organized person. So I put 6 fuelings in a Ziploc bag every day. I always had an extra one. And I started food prepping. I food prep every Sunday. I use every single recipe found on the files in Healthy 365. And I make double each recipe. I make 2 servings for myself, and the rest go to my husband and my son. And so we're all eating the same thing. The other thing is I took my Lean and Greens to work with me. I found it easier to eat lunch than dinner. And I also bought 2 of every tool that there was. So I have 2 wafflers, 2 mini dashes, 2 stirs. I keep 1 set in the office, and I have 1 at home so that I never have to think about it. I am always prepared. Every gadget I have is wonderful. And I was on a mission. So in 15 weeks, I lost 30 pounds. I went from a size 12 to a size 2. I have never been a size 2 in my entire life. The amount of inches that I have lost, I look down, and sometimes I don't even recognize myself. Like, I just can't even believe that this is my body. My husband noticed very early on that I don't come home from work and put my pajamas on. I actually like my clothes. I don't feel like I'm stuffed in them. And my life has just completely changed. The other thing that has changed, and the other thing is that I'm now on transition for 3 weeks, and I've lost another 2 pounds. So 32 pounds since March 5th, pretty incredible. Honestly, I'm just blown away. But coaching. So my first 2 friends wanted to join me right away, and I called Nancy and I said, my 2 friends are going to contact you. And she said, you really should think about coaching. And I said, not something that I'm really interested in. I work full time, not going to do it. She said, you really passing up a great opportunity. And all I can say is 34 clients later in 7 weeks, team Get Healthy with Randy has lost over 400 pounds. I'm just blown away by everything that this plan has done for me, is doing for my friends. Similar to what the speaker before me, I'm sorry, Beth said, the finances are great. It's wonderful. It's motivating, but how I am changing people's lives and my own is right now more motivating than anything else. So I will encourage all of you to stick really closely to your coach, stick really closely to Healthy 365. The resources, the leadership, the community, it's unparalleled. It really is. I've been involved with other companies. There's nothing like Optavia. I'm excited to be in St. Louis. I'm excited to meet all of you. And thank you for listening. This is the best thing out there.
Thanks so much, Randy. I just love your energy, and I love that you're helping so many people, and I love that you're feeling great and you have this energy, and you love getting dressed. Our last speaker before we talk about gut health, which we're real excited to share with you, is Stephanie Carbonell. So Stephanie, are you out there?
Yes, I am.
And you're off mute. Go ahead.
Okay. So my name is Steph. That's me there in the picture. Both of me's. I'm 53, and I can tell you, I don't like to talk about my age, but I feel that it might be slightly motivating to people. So my story really begins when I was 39, and I gave birth to twins. So most of my 40s, I spent trying to get rid of the extra baby weight. And in the last couple of years, my doctor would say things to me like, as you get older, it's harder and harder to lose weight. So a year ago, which is the picture that you saw on the left. At 5'1", I was over 200 pounds, pre-diabetic, a slow thyroid, and acid reflux, and I had no energy. And I really had no hope that I could ever significantly change my weight. And then my husband and I saw a friend of ours post on Facebook about his dramatic weight loss. And we both kind of turned to each other and said, where do we sign? Like, we want some of that. And so we reached out to his coach, and we started the program last August. In April, I went to see my doctor, and he was blown away, absolutely. Like, he could not believe, because I had lost 50 pounds. Now, keep in mind, 53 years old, okay, slow thyroid, and I lost 50 pounds. He was astonished to the point where he gave me a huge hug, and my numbers were great. He said, I'm no longer pre-diabetic. My blood pressure was in line. Everything looked great. And then he followed it up and said, by the way, you're probably not going to lose much more. And I can tell you, my friends, since April, I've lost another 14 pounds. So now I'm at a total of 64 pounds. So what has changed for me? Well, first of all, my energy is through the roof. I've been doing projects this summer that I never thought, they've been on my to-do list forever. I'm up on the roof painting. I'm cutting huge branches off of trees. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I'm just going. The other thing that's changed is my confidence. I actually do Facebook Lives now, and you know what? They're not bad. And my kids look at me, they're 14 now, and they look at me like I'm crazy. And I was like, do you guys think I'm crazy? And they just laugh, you know. But the best thing that I see is how they are reacting. My 14-year-old boys, they're learning from me that if
Tienes que
you
cambiar el
have
pasto. ¿Ya lo
obstacles,
cambiaste?
you can conquer
Ah, ya
them.
todo.
And you know, it's just,
Voy a apagar esta vaina.
oh, hello.
¿Ves?
It's just amazing to me. And I have to share one of my favorite NSVs. And that is this, that I can now paint my toenails without feeling like I'm going to give myself a hernia. So there you go. But this program has tremendously changed me. I'm a different person, and there's so much joy in my heart. And so I've decided to pay it forward and become a health coach too. So that's my story. Thank you. I feel so honored that you've given me an opportunity to share it.
Oh my God, Stephanie, there was so much there. Wow. I'm so glad that you shared tonight.
Thank you.
Amazing. Number one is you let people know that this can happen at any age. And number two is the amazing amount of energy and what you're able to do and the confidence. It just blows me away. I love it. I hear these stories every day, but just hearing them, you know, tonight has been amazing. So thank all of you.
I think I'm going to hire you to help me with my honeydew list that Terry's assembled for me. So, I mean.
No.
Hey, I built her a honeydew list. We're good.
All right.
So we're going to move on to the next part of our program, which is actually talking about gut health. These were awesome stories from all three of you, and thank you very much. And I'm actually really heartened to see in the group chat there are plenty of people who have a variety of different ailments and illnesses that have been sort of helped by our program. People that have Crohn's, people that have celiac, people that have irritable bowel, people that have reflux. So I think this is going to be right up some people's alleys, so to speak. And we're going to get started talking about gut health, if I can get this thing moving. This is killing me. All right. So before any of you get squeamish and start worrying about whether we're going to be talking about bowel movements and diarrhea and constipation, don't worry, that is not going to be the focus. We may end up touching on that, although I'm not entirely sure we're going to have the time for that. But what we really wanted to do was emphasize the importance of the gut. And starting off as an introduction, by way of introduction, 80% of all of our nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine. So that's what we're really talking about when we're talking about the gut. These are the macronutrients such as proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, as well as all of our vitamins and minerals. And they are all absorbed, digested, and broken down primarily by the small intestine. I'd like to give a shout out and special thanks to Andrea Rouget, dietitian, whose presentation I watched and whose slides I stole as sort of the basis of tonight's presentation. So just as I said, a quick anatomy lesson. The way the food gets into us starts with the mouth. The tongue and teeth help us chew the food and start the process of digestion along with the saliva, which has enzymes that start breaking down the food in our mouth. The tongue then pushes that back down to the esophagus, the food pipe, which carries it down through muscular contractions into the stomach. Now, the stomach further grinds the food, and the enzymes and acid inside the stomach continue the digestive process, and this can take hours. For a fatty or a heavy meal, this can take longer, and the meal, as it's being digested in the stomach, or as it's being ground up in the stomach, is released in controlled portions, depending upon communication between the brain and the stomach. The small intestine, this is what we were talking about when we say the gut, and as I said, this is a 21-foot long organ and has truly massive absorptive area. Directly opposite the first part of the small intestine are two organs that are very important for digestion and absorption of the food. The pancreas secretes digestive enzymes amylase and lipase, and the gallbladder releases bile made in the liver to help break down the dietary fats. This is just a diagram of the small intestine that we were talking about. The small intestine is the largest organ in the body, with the possible exception of the skin. And it is lined with millions of tiny finger-like projections called villi, which increase the surface area for both the enzymes located on the cell surface to break down the carbs and the proteins, as well as for absorption by specific receptors. This is just like a towel, which is textured to absorb water. And as we said, 80% of the nutrient absorption happens here in the small intestine. The small intestine then takes the carbohydrates, fats, and other nutrients as they've been broken down and conducts them through small blood vessels that you can see in the diagram into the liver. And of pretty great importance and increasing realization over the last couple decades, both the mind, brain, body, as well as the gut and the immune system are all sort of linked together. There's a sort of a triangle of communication, and particularly the gut is directly linked to the immune system. The small blood vessels that I mentioned and that were in the previous diagram over here on the left-hand side, those run up and down the villi, and they carry the digested nutrients to the liver and also contain white blood cells that can present these fragments to the immune system. There are clusters of immune cells in the lymph nodes and also areas called Peyer's patches, which work with antibodies and white blood cells to surround, arrest, cordon off, and break down foreign molecules and pathogens. When the lining of the gut is damaged, as we'll discuss in a few moments, these intruders are permitted access to the bloodstream and lymphatics without passing through the policemen of the white blood cells and the lymphatics, and can cause all sorts of trouble. So what causes inflammation and or leaky gut syndrome? There are poor food choices, which can be either heavily fried foods or foods with a lot of additives into them. The majority of food additives, however, are either benign or beneficial. They retard spoilage and allow longer shelf life or prevent bacteria or fungi from growing on our food. So these additives are precisely engineered or selected for the very real purpose of feeding more people safely. However, as safe as these additives may be in terms of not causing overt illness or toxicity, we really don't know on a microscopic level what some of them do to our gut. Clearly, there is less risk with natural preservatives and colors, such as in the Optavia products that are found in food, but individuals may also be sensitive or susceptible on a case-by-case basis. For example, in someone who is not celiac or gluten sensitive, there is no problem with wheat or gluten. but there is evidence that some people can acquire a gluten sensitivity during a period of stress or illness, whereas others may be resistant. Similarly, there may be people who react poorly to dairy because their lactase is deficient from the get-go, or it may be temporarily disabled due to inflammation or disease, and some, I stress some, people may be able to resume eating dairy once they recover normal intestinal function. So starting to eat right with proper balanced macronutrients, as well as vitamins, minerals, and probiotics, as well as a minimum of artificial additives for preservatives for the food, these will start to reverse this inflammation that many people won't even be aware they have. One of the remarkable aspects of the human body is its ability to adapt even to chronic stress or injury. Other things that can cause inflammation of the gut, as you can see on the slide, are food poisoning or toxic exposure. Some medications, even though they may be necessary for a short term or even in the long term, such as corticosteroids, antibiotics, and antacids, we know that emotional stress can also work on this. And obviously, parasites, bacteria, and other infectious agents. So there are two primary differences between a healthy gut, which you can see on the left-hand side, and a leaky gut or an inflamed gut. The villi can be inflamed, broken, or not working as well to absorb, and if the macronutrients are not broken down and absorbed, they can pass through and pull water back into the gut and induce cramps or diarrhea. As you'll notice also on the lower left-hand side, normally the lining of the gut is tight, preventing movement of water and nutrients across the lining of the intestine and permitting it only through the villi, which are the digestive surface area. And inflammation, these nutrients, as you can see on the right-hand side, these nutrients as well as bacteria and other materials can pass through the barrier directly into the bloodstream and cause all kinds of upset and disturbance. So leaky gut, as you can see on this slide, can be caused by a lot of different things: antibiotics, infections, blood sugar issues, food allergies, toxins, stress, dietary proteins. And once this cascade sort of starts, it can result in inflammation and is also surmised to contribute to some autoimmune disorders, in particular, potentially, and these are areas that are under active research: multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus. The other thing that leaky gut can cause is malabsorption. And so once these nutrients are not getting in, we're not getting the ability for our body to build healthy structures. As I mentioned, good quality probiotics can assist greatly with the healing process in a damaged gut. And I'm just going to skip over that. So the digestive tract is not only the portal for food to come in, it is also an unfiltered connection to the outside world, which is the primary reason for the acid in the stomach, basically to decontaminate the food that we take in. Nonetheless, a lot of foreign material, including bacteria, fungi, and viruses, as well as plain old dust and dirt, do make their way into our gut or intestines and colonize there. And that's a good thing because it helps train our immune system in a controlled, regulated way. The good bacteria both, one, compete with the bad or disease-causing bacteria for some of the breakdown products of our digestion, and two, they help crowd out the bad bacteria, and three, some of these good bacteria actually help us digest and use the food we eat. Normal gut bacteria are very important to maintain, and they're so important that for many years, many doctors, myself included, would recommend their patients undergoing antibiotic treatment to eat yogurt containing live cultures, or to, if they were dairy sensitive, to supplement with capsules containing live cultures or lactobacillus. So this is where the probiotics and Optavia come in. There are many ways that we can help heal the gut. Obviously, stress management is a primary one. A healthy, varied diet ensures diversity of good bacteria entering the gut, as well as balanced nutrition. Exercise, which we want to keep modest to moderate activity during the 5-in-1 portion or the weight loss phase due to caloric restriction. There is evidence that activity releases hormones and mediators that both dilate the blood vessels, enhance blood flow throughout the body, and increase the feelings of well-being and happiness, accomplishment, and satisfaction. As I did not get a chance to mention, the gut is the source of 90% of the serotonin in the body, and this is a hormone that regulates our emotion and particularly can lead to feelings of happiness and well-being. Hydration, being adequately hydrated enhances blood volume, and therefore blood flow to the brain, heart, gut, and kidneys. And so obviously this is very important as well. So I want to thank you for your attention and for joining us tonight. Obviously this is a huge topic, and we're going to move on.